Welcome to TwinCities.com. I'm Fran Tarkenton. Yes, I know that my Vikings are playing my ex-team, the Giants. I want to make it clear, I'm a Viking. I enjoyed my 5 years in New York a lot in between my two Viking careers, but I am a Minnesota Viking. I bleed purple. I was there for the first game, and I've rooted for the Vikings for every game since then, except those 5 years I was there. But I was so glad to come back and have the pleasure of playing for you great fans there in Minnesota, playing for Bud Grant and all the great teammates I had, the Jim Marshalls and the Alan Pages and the Grady Aldermans and the Mick Tingelhoffs and the Paul Krauses and the Wally Hilgenbergs. It was a joy and a pleasure. In New York, there's a quarterback named Eli Manning, and right now he's a story. 0-6, he's struggling, as our Vikings are struggling. But the big story this week is not happening in New York. The big story is in Indianapolis. Because all of us who've had the pleasure to play in the National Football League, we respect the game, the legacy of the NFL, the great players and owners and coaches that have been there. And this whole thing has just exploded into even bigger and greater than we ever thought. And we respect that. And what Jim Irsay did this week, the owner of the Indianapolis Colts, in taking a cheap shot at Peyton Manning, was the most classless thing I've ever seen. Now, this is the same family. His father, Bob Irsay, in 1984, think about this, Viking fans, in 1984, it had a historic legacy there in Baltimore. This legacy of John Unitas and Raymond Barry and Alan Aminci and the great championship game against the New York Giants in like 58 or so that really kind of set the standard for the league. Now, in the middle of the night on March 29th, 1984, Bob Irsay, the father of Jim Irsay, the then owner of the Colts, gets an 18-wheeler truck, puts all the equipment in, and sneaks out of Baltimore and takes the franchise to Indianapolis. Tell me, Viking fans, what would you think if the Wilfs did that? You'd be outraged, but he did that, disrespecting the legacy and the fandom and the city of Baltimore. He doesn't do very well in Indianapolis. The last 3 years of Baltimore, the Colts won only 9 games out of 41. And then before Peyton gets in, they draft Peyton, I think they won 3 games. Peyton comes in and takes them to 11 playoffs in 13 years. And here's what he says on television. It's not about the numbers, it's not about the number, the stats and the victories. We went to 11 playoffs, but we got knocked out in the first round 7 times. We only won 1 Super Bowl, and here's my Super Bowl ring, and it's all about the rings. He's never strapped it up in his life, never coached a team in his life. And he's going to take credit for it, and it's not good enough. And Peyton, this is what he did for his team. The year before Peyton left, the last year of his career, he was hurt. The great Indianapolis Colts with Jim Irsay, they won 2 games. They were last in the league after going to the playoffs 11 out of 13 years. And he was so lucky. He gets the first choice of the draft, which gives him Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck today has got to be horrified at what his owner said. Every owner, every coach, every NFL veteran alumni, every present player has got to be just outraged at the disrespect that this guy gave to Peyton Manning and this great NFL family. He disses me and every other NFL player as he disses Peyton Manning, and I take it personally. And I hope you people do too. Skol Vikings. Let's get another win this week.